Hi, and welcome to VFX Tutors. I'm Josh, and this is not going to be a tutorial this time. It's really going to be me maybe talking about my journey through VFX. I'm currently a generalist environment artist at Industrial Light and Magic, but I've been in other places like DNEG, Framestore, Outpost, and a couple of other smaller sort of companies, visual effects, and some sort of 2D animation companies. But I kind of want to talk through how I got there, because everyone's journey is a little bit different. Everyone faces different things. I don't know. I'm going to find this really difficult because I absolutely hate talking about myself. So it's probably going to be very awkward in some places. And there is going to be some editing in this as well. This is probably going to be the first video that I've done out of 350 or 60 very long, boring videos. That's going to have some editing, all right? So keep an eye out for it. So I'm hoping that you guys get something from this. I know it's not a tutorial, it's more of just like, I don't know, I really hate talking about myself, but maybe there's some things in there that might help you get to the place that you want to be. I don't know. This is something new that I'm trying. Very difficult. As you can't see, it's like squeezing a rock right now, trying to get something out of it without me being super awkward and pausing. And my brain is like crunching the gears of trying to think of what to say. So I guess for me, maybe I'll just start right from the beginning. Maybe that's a little bit too much. So let's fast forward to maybe leaving secondary school, high school. So at secondary school, or I guess you'd call it high school, I'm not sure all the different versions of it. It's basically your second one before you go to college and stuff. I was not like an exemplar student, let's just say that. I was not great. I wasn't very that attentive. I didn't really, like, I think most students, I don't know. Also, like, I wasn't particularly good at, like, the whole learning thing. I don't know if it's because I didn't want to do it. I think one of the key aspects was probably, I might not be like, probably like a undiagnosed sort of dyslexic, if you know what I mean. When, like, I don't know what school's like now, but when I was at secondary school, it's like, read this massive textbook, write up on it, and you'll probably get an exam on it. My problem is when I ever read a line of words, I'd move to the second line, and the first line that I just read completely wiped from existence. It usually takes me about 3 or 4 attempts to even read a single line, to absorb it, to go into the second line. Imagine trying to read an entire book or textbook where you're struggling to even remember the lines and struggling to find how you even find the next line. Because sometimes it'll be like, I'm reading the line, then the next line I'm like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. And I realize I've skipped like 10 lines, or I'm not even in the right place. So, I mean, it's something that I've worked around now. I mean, I'm almost like 40, so, man, there's no point in me going to the doctors about it now. It is what it is. I figured out how to sort of work around it. My workaround was never read books. Although you do have to read some stuff. It's just very, very difficult. And other things, like, I don't know, maybe some like very slight ADHD. I don't know. I'm not saying I have it or anything, but I wasn't the best student. Let's just put it that way. And that reflected in my like sort of end of year grades or end of school grades. So I don't know what everyone else is. In the UK, GCSEs are like the big cheese of grades when you leave school. If your GCSEs are shit, they sell it as like, well, you're not going to go very far, which is a load of bullshit, because I have absolutely 0 GCSEs. I had no A-levels as well, because you need GCSEs to get A-levels, so I was kind of screwed coming out of school. The grades that I got for my GCSEs, I'm pretty sure, from what I remember, they were all Ds and mostly U's. I don't know if you know what a U is. A U is ungraded. ungraded means you got so bad in your test, they just fucking gave up. So I was like, I got nothing. So coming out of secondary school, basically, shit all on the GCSEs, nothing. So, in fact, actually, the one thing that I did get from secondary school was one of these bad boys. And if you know, if you're from UK, you know what one of these are. These are like, these were sold as they would get you into places. These were like the Messiah. If you filled one of these bad boys out, which I did, look at this. Well, I'll try to find one of my top achievements in there. Oh, here we are. Another British favourite. Kellogg's Krispies National Swim. What a piece of history there. And also other rubbish that really actually got me nowhere. But it's nice to have, and it's like a relic of the past of what absolute total trash they sort of tried to sell you in school when I was there. And if you didn't get the grade, you're totally screwed. You're going to be a bin man, which I'm pretty sure actually bin men earn quite good money as well. So that's a complete load of bullshit as well. So I'm going to try and keep the swearing down as well, because I swear a lot. So you say now, like, where do I go from like coming out of secondary school? Got no grades. Got this bad boy. Got this bad boy ready to go. Wanted someone with a quality national record. You go. They go into the military, and I went into the military and I did engineering. So I was working on armored vehicles and stuff like that, and I did that for like just over 6 years. So I joined when I was 16, did 6 years. I mean, like, I think it was around that. I remember coming out around with 21, 22, and I was like, I actually still can't do anything, but I knew I didn't want to do that. That's for sure. I definitely did not want to be rolling around in the mud, getting cold, doing all sorts of stuff that I didn't really want to do, and just like, it's not great. It's not what I want to do. I've always been a creative person, just never really known how to deal with it with my, I don't know. Everyone has their different sort of elements, but maybe it's that undiagnosed ADHD that's coming through again. But like I say, I'm almost 40. It's not going to change anything. But, yeah, so I did 6 years, and the only thing that I could do was go to university and try and pick something that really interests me. Then again, at a barrier of being completely gradeless, no certificates, no qualifications. I'm like, I'm still totally fucked. So I had to do like side courses, stuff like that. They're like courses for adults and like people that are like trying to pick themselves back up, I guess. But yeah, so I have to pay for like application number and history and English. I can't even remember what they were, like sciences, and they were just like, I mean, I don't know what it's like now, but for me, it was kind of like, you ever seen those books and it's like, I don't know, internet for dummies, and it was basically that. That's what I needed because I was a dumbass, so basically. But yeah, so I did those, and I had to do enough to get the UCAS points. And if you don't know what UCAS points are, they are these points that you gain. I guess I'm not sure the equivalent everyone else gets. Is it like a grade point average? I'm not sure. But they're basically points that add up from all your qualifications and things that you've done through your sort of academic lifetime. So the only way it was up for me, because I don't even know what D's or U's gets. Let's just say I started with 1, and I'm not sure what it is, but you usually need like a couple hundred to gain access to a university course. So I did those courses. I just managed to scrape on enough university courses to get into Bournemouth University to do one of my first mistakes was not particularly researching the course that I wanted to do. I made like this, I wouldn't say a mistake, but I mean, if I researched into it, I probably wouldn't have made the choice I did. So that's definitely probably my fault. So I definitely looked on the Bournemouth University website, and they had this one for modeling animation and visual effects. I was like, cool, this is one that I can get into. It wasn't actually the one that's like the main one there. It was like some course that it's like a small Bournemouth University course that was done in one of the colleges down locally. It was basically a college course, which was like not a university course, but you still got the uni grade. So you still got the Bachelor of Arts degree. I didn't know any of this stuff, so hey, it was all great for me. I was doing sort of starting to do stuff that I wanted to do. So yeah, I started on the course, and it was modeling and animation, but also it was modeling. It was kind of just like modeling and architectural visualization, but I didn't know anything else. I thought this was great. I thought this course was going to be like, yes, this course fucking bee's knees. This is going to get me into doing way cool jobs. So, I did 3 years. I didn't do a gap year at all because I personally thought that'd be a massive waste unless I could get in a job in one of the companies that I sort of wanted to work at. And I didn't. I had no idea why. I mean, courses say that like, oh yeah, you're good at something for it and stuff like that. You'll be fine. Loads of people get placements and stuff like that. I think maybe like, I don't think anyone, because our course was split down to modeling and architectural visualization. Our side, the modeling and analysis, I don't think anyone got placements. I think that was kind of a bit of a lie. So honest, the art visualization people did. There was a few of them, but that's like modeling buildings for architectural stuff. I wasn't really particularly interested in that, so I didn't really care. But yeah, so I did my 3 years, did my modeling animation, did what I thought was a kick-ass showreel, which was, man, if I look back at it now, I'm like, man, I'm glad I deleted that stuff. I'm like, everyone's first attempt is kind of like, back then, before all this like fancy stuff that you have now, like we were just like modeling stuff in 3ds Max and texturing stuff in Photoshop and using like the first version of Mudbox, and you'd create your own textures in Photoshop, and we were comping stuff in Toxic, I think it was called. It was like an Autodesk one, I can't remember. But for me, it sounded great. I didn't know any better. So we did all that. 3 years out, and it's, I guess, like we get to the point where applying for jobs. So got my amazing showreel to like the fucking best showreel that you'd ever seen. Not what I thought be the best, but oh man, thinking about it was so bad. It was so bad. One of the best things, I think we're finally actually getting to that actual the meat of the VFX journey part, because yeah, I went through and sort of like said, like, it's kind of explaining that like you don't have to, you just gotta, if you really want it, you can sort of, you can make it for sure. It's a bit more difficult for other people. Some people have it a bit easier, but it is what you put out of it. And one of the best things that I did was look at other people's showreels that were actually getting the jobs. And when I saw them and I looked at mine, I was like, fuck, what the fuck? What is this shit that I've made? And it was that realization that I was like, I need to really actually like step up, like not just one notch, about 400 notches. And it was quite difficult because also I felt at the time that I was doing, we hadn't been shown that we weren't like trained up to the point where we could get jobs. We were very far from it on our sort of course side. And looking back at it now, I don't think my course year, I think maybe out of 50 people, maybe 4 or 5% got jobs. And I think that's generally because, like, on our side, the modeling and animation side, it had to be that level of greatness because there are so many people doing it, and you have to be on the top of that sort of competition. But my work was way below. It was like, it was the stuff that you put through HR, look at it, pass it to, I don't know, the modeling team, and be like, they'll look at it for 1 second and go straight in the trash. So that was the sort of stuff I was coming out of uni with, or should I say college. So that was particularly difficult, realizing I need to, like, really up my sort of level. So I spent a couple months, like, really working on stuff, and I managed to sort of build up another sort of reel, which was quite difficult because there was a lot of things that they were, why did I just pay for this 3-year course? And they didn't get me to the level that I wanted to. So that being that, I mean, like, there's no point crying over what's done. What's done is done. Hey, you can't. It's time to really polish this turd now, which I think I did a real good job at polishing. So, I managed to work up my reel, and I went to a Bournemouth University sort of wasn't a lecture. It was they had like an industry day where they had some people come in. They had some people coming in from Double Negative, which was definitely somewhere that I work, but I hadn't actually really researched too much into it. So part of that was my fault as well. So, and probably one of the best things that I did was I went to that sort of it was like a industry speaker or something like that. I went there with my show reel and CV and covering letter. I mean, like, hey, got to take a punt here, right? So if you just got to hope, right, and make sure they take it back. So I sat through this DNEG sort of this DNEG speech talk, and it was great. And everyone went down at the end, started talking to the people, and to my absolute surprise, I was the only person there that had a CV show on a covering letter to give to them. And I was like, man, this is like, I actually couldn't believe it, because I was like ready to prepare. I was like ready to get in there right at the front and sort of fight my way in and give them my CV and stuff like that. And be like, get away! I want them to read it. And I was absolutely like mind boggled, because I was the only one there with my CV reel and covering letter, and they were like, yeah, we'll take that. I was like, cool. And I mean, like, that was that. I went home, worked on some stuff, and that was pretty much it for that day, and didn't hear much back. So about I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks later or something like that. It wasn't like I was definitely waiting around checking my emails all the time. It must have been like 3 or 4 weeks or something like that. I actually got an email reply back from Double Negative HR recruitment, and they basically said, well, we read your CV and stuff on the way back, and know that you applied for the runner role, because that's what I applied for. I actually think I applied for modeling because that's what I wanted to do, and I also did like apply for the running role because I was like, I think I was apply for like maybe lighting as well, which I don't think I could have ever done. That was definitely a shot in the dark, which I don't think I could have done. But yeah, they came back and they said, yeah, you were the only one that gave us CV and your show reel. We read your CV on the way back and your covering letter, and we said, yeah, I think we would like to invite you in for an interview at Double Negative for the runner role. I was like, yes, this is fucking amazing. I was like, it was just the greatest news ever, because it felt like I'd finally taken that footstep into the door. So that it seemed like everything that I'd done had kind of worked. So I went through all that, got my date for my interview, and and I mean, like previously, like being in the military and stuff, when they always used to say like, whenever you go to interviews, be like dressed really well, wear your suit, nice clean shoes, and all that sort of like really look like businessman, business, Mrs. Business, if you know what I mean, in suit and boot. So I was like, I went out and bought a suit, nice like waistcoat, proper like London gentleman sort of thing, and I was like going up to the office. I was like, this is starting to feel pretty cool. Even though I was going for a runner job, it's hilarious thinking back at it now. But I was like, I walked into the office and it was great. And I kid you not, I was like, as much as I was like, whoa, this is amazing. I think maybe I was the first person everyone in the building had seen in a suit in a long time because like all artists and stuff like that. So I was like, man, this feels kind of a bit weird. I feel like I got a little bit more casual, maybe jeans, nice shirt, maybe jacket or something, but like full on suit stuff. I look back here and I look, what a fucking idiot I look like, but I mean, like, it was quite funny when I look at it now. I was going for a running job as well, so I had no idea really what running was. I know, like, I read the description, it was just like day-to-day things, like, it was definitely oversold on the description for sure. Because if you've done running or you're running or know anyone that's a runner, deep respect, because it's actually really difficult. And it's not the best job in VFX. But it's a foot in the door, and that's all that I wanted. And yeah, so I did that, went through the interview, kind of awkward, just talked about everything really, just honest, genuine with them. I didn't try and embellish anything that I did. I came in there with the pretty much understanding that it's very unlikely that I'll get this because there are just way more talented people. There'll always be way more talented people. But I think the one that eventually I did get it, but I think it's like just me being honest and clear, being able to talk with them. I don't know. I hadn't really done that many interviews before that, so I really didn't know if what I was doing was right or wrong. I was just honest, showed my work, willing to improve, willing to do all that sort of stuff, and they were happy. In reality, I was going for a running role as well, so they probably really didn't give a crap about any of my actual work. They just wanted someone to do all the running stuff, which was absolutely fine with me at the time. Well, it kind of wasn't a first job that I got out of uni. Between like going to a course, I'd clean windows and I did a lot of cleaning because it seemed like an easy thing to do. It was grim, but yeah, it was nice not to have to do that sort of stuff. But little I know, I'd still be continue cleaning, just in a fancier place. So I was doing running and stuff, and you know, it was great, and it was also quite an eye opener because it also, when you get to see what people are working like, it was just sort of a massive eye opener of the skill set that I also did not have, and like seeing what people are working like is like there's such a high level. It's like, man, I'm gonna have to sort of training and and the realization of there's just not there are for like let's say there's like one job, there's probably like 500-600 to 1,000 people applying for that one job, so the competition is like super high. So and when you see those, like if you're working and stuff like you kind of want that time at university to really crank up your work to that level, which I hadn't realised that our course hadn't done that. So I not wasted. I did learn stuff, but that time could have been used better to bring up the sort of quality of work. So I think when I was running as well, they obviously had the sort of training. So when you're running, they kind of gave you the option of, do you want to go 2D or 3D? And it was like, if you're going 2D, you're going to learn roto. And if you want to do 3D, you're going to learn match move. So I actually went to learn roto first. And it was okay. It really wasn't for me though. I thought it may be a better option, but I went back to the 3D side. So that's when I started learning 3D equalizer. That's for the match move. And if you've ever been to DNEG back then, like the training shots, I bet you know what the magic flute is. So one of the top training shots, which everyone hates. But yeah, I think working through running, and we would have to do the training on our own time. So it wasn't during work hours and stuff like that. So if you needed to train, you did it after work or get in early and do the extra training. But then like you're with 12 other runners that are also doing the same thing. So then you also have that sort of inner competition of everyone trying to get through the training as well. So yeah, I had to go get a cup of coffee because this is actually taking a lot longer than I thought it would. I feel like the more I'm talking, the easier it's becoming for some reason, even though on previous tutorials that I've done, or like almost 350, it feels super awkward. I don't know, maybe finally taking that step's made it a little bit easier. I need to have some coffee. So, where were we? Rubber nose, allergies, awesome. So yeah, running, DNEG. It was, I mean, as a foot in the door, it was okay. I think the most important thing was that you have a cutoff if you're running. You should, I really don't want to be running for longer than a year at most, because I know it's great at first. You're working in the company, but it's not a great job. It's a stepping stone for sure. I am super happy that I did it, because if I didn't do it, I'd never be where I am now. So I'm not sure even if I tried just doing reels and reels and reels and working on my own stuff, I'm not sure if I'd have ever really, I don't know, I wouldn't say never ever, but I'd say like getting your foot in the door, no matter how, is probably the most important thing you can do, I find. And that's kind of, I think, what I did. I got my foot in the door. You've got that now, the big company name on your CV and resume. And so, yeah, running, trying to say how running is in the best light of way. I mean, foot in door, great. You will be doing some really crap jobs, though. Let's just face it. Like, I'm not going to beat around the bush. You're going to be serving coffees to clients, cleaning dishes, cleaning the kitchens, restocking the kitchens, general facility sort of work, sorting out, I don't know, events with them, not doing the sort of sorting out, being more of the butler of the events, like handing out drinks and stuff like that. It's stuff that needs to be done around the building, basically. Stuff that it's an opportunity for people to get in the building, meet other artists, which is probably one of the best parts of it, meeting other artists and finding out what they're actually doing. And understanding what's needed, and also you're having the in-house training at the company, which is like priceless. You may be doing, the way to summarize it, you may be doing a kind of crappy job and sometimes very unappreciated and may seem the worst decision ever, but you get access to all that in the building, information, knowledge, and all that, which instantly takes you a step up, like massively. Having that sort of in and working there and proving that you're willing to do this is like, it's so valuable, I found. So when I was running, I also was like training in match move, because that was kind of the first thing I saw out of running. So I did a little training in running and training and running. All you have to do is just like do what you're told and just do it. And then that's pretty much it. That's the training you need. Have an open attitude and be positive and just know that it's not going to last forever. That's it. There's your training in running. Doing the training in match move was different. And like, this is where I come back to my previous course not being so great. I'd never even heard of match move or tracking or what the hell it was to do. So I was like, well, this is like another thing that I have no idea about. And this continued these like revelations of shit, I don't know anything about this and I've never heard of it. As the longer I did running and training in match move was becoming more apparent. And I was like, well, my course was really not that great, but I got to hand it to her that I was in the house, I was in the building doing running, training on stuff that I could be doing. So there is that. So I can't say it was all that terrible because it got me where I was now. I guess after kind of figuring all that stuff out, and I knew that even though it's difficult, I have to sort of retrain in this and do match move and figure out everything after match move. So that was the plan. Key important thing was having the plan, sticking to it, following through, and doing it to the point that it's definitely giving returns. So obviously you don't want to, if something's not working, you don't want to do it. But I'm happy to do anything, so it wasn't really a big issue for me. So yeah, learning 3D equalizer and tracking at DNEG, going through all those things and still running. It was tricky. I mean, man, as 2012 was running, the salary of a runner at DNEG, I will not say what it was, but I can tell you that I lived off Scotch eggs in the evening and company cereal for breakfast and lunch. And that was it. I had nothing else. I'll tell you what, if you try and guess what the salary in 2012, I won't say because I don't think I should, but write in the comments, take your guesses, and I will some way signify if you are the closest or closest. And if you get it bang on, I'll be like, yeah, that's it, you got it. But in the comments, guess how much living in London, paying London rent, first salary as a runner was in 2012. You'd be very surprised on how shit it was. But we survived and I did it, so there's that. I have no idea what it is now, but I think minimum wage is now quite high, so I imagine it's probably all right cash now. Back then, I think, I'm not sure how they really got away with it, but they did. We weren't paid well at all. We were paid terribly, but we were there because we wanted to move on, and we started at the bottom, try and work our way up. So yeah, there is that. It's probably way different now. So I imagine with minimum wage here in UK, I imagine it's actually pretty decent as a runner. So through my time at DNEG, I was obviously training as a runner, but then training as a match move artist. Then finally, I can't remember what it was, but it's usually who's available to do this on this show. Can you do it? I mean, like, I'm the type of guy that I'll always say, yeah, I can do it. Don't worry about it. It's not me. I'll do it right now. And I'll worry about it later. When I start, I'll worry about having to do it. I'll always say yes to everything. But if it's something that I want to do, I'll say yes, and I'll figure it out later and hope that it doesn't go terribly wrong. So I did that. And I think the first show that I was on was Transcendence. So Johnny Depp film about, I think, AI or something like that. I don't know, I can't quite remember it. But that was my first show, and I don't think I'll ever forget it, because it was just like a finally actually working on a show, not running, being an artist, finally making that point of being an actual artist on a film was such a good feeling. So, as much as it took a lot of work to get there, I mean, like, the reason why I'm sort of talking about this also is because everyone's path's different. I mean, some people, they go out of uni, show the stuff, straight in the job they want. There is that. I didn't have, some people really struggle. So it's, maybe, I'm also really on two minds whether even I put this on YouTube, because I don't know how it's going to really come across, to be honest, because I want to come across like, oh yeah, but you're here and all that, and it's easier for you. It's like, the one thing that I'll massively reiterate is, I would say a good chunk of all your applications to sort of companies, I mean, like, it's always based on your showreel abilities and experience. The most important, like, seriously, the thing I figured out actually quite soon, which is probably quite lucky, is it's not all about your showreel experience and stuff, although that weighs heavy. One of the most important things about being picked up by HR is timing. Seriously, I know it's a lot of it's down to luck and timing, because they'll get, how it kind of works is, oh, guys up top, we've got this show coming in, we need X amount of artists. It'll go down the line. HR, we need to hire. It'll go to departments. Do we need this amount of people? And it'll be like, yeah, we need, I don't know, 3 extra match movie artists or something like that. Have we got 3 inch match movie artists in house? No, we don't. Okay, by the time it is, like, send it to HR, let's hire some people. I mean, and no one knows at that time frame. Like, you can't, unless you're like super in the golden circle, there's absolutely no way you can know how or when from and what's a good time for that. So there is, timing is one of the biggest aspects, I think, of trying to get into the visual effects industry. I don't know, so like, the longer you're in, the easier. Once you're in, the longer you stay in, the easier. It's definitely easier to get places, because you have the experience of working in big companies and big pipelines. And I kind of went on a bit of a tangent there, but trying to think where I was running. Yeah, so I was running at DNEG at first, 2012. Can't really remember specific dates. It kind of merged into doing Match Move, and I think I did 3 or 4 shows at DNEG. Can't quite remember which ones they were, because after a while it kind of merges all into one. And I'm not sure if I can really talk about a lot of stuff anyway, so I'm just trying to keep it as safe as possible for me, as it is. Not that it is really probably a big deal, but so it was around 4 or 5 shows. I can't think how many it was. But basically, I think it was, I would have to actually look on my LinkedIn and see what the actual dates were. But basically, after all, contracts got ended, and I was jobless. So I was like, well, shit. And I mean, like, living in London, when don't have a job, I mean, like, on a runner salary, and you lose your job, I mean, like, you're on like thin ice, becoming homeless, because, man, I had no savings. I didn't even have money. I was just working and eating, cooking Scotch eggs and noodles. There was zero quality of life, and still have to pay rent and bills. which was kind of a bit of a shitter because it was really difficult to get jobs after that. Thinking that I've done it. Finding the next job will be super easy, and it wasn't. It really wasn't. I think I looked for match move roles for about a month and a half. Then I realised I got to look for it, just whatever. I don't care anything. I'll do any job. Who cares about VFX? I'm already sinking into credit card debt because I don't have work and I got paid cool from my previous job. So there's a lot of this stuff I forgot, and I probably buried it away. And it was like living in London when you have no salary and you're like impending doom. It fucking sucks. It really does. And I mean, there's probably people doing it now as well with all the strikes. Even now with all the strikes and everything that's happening on it, it's difficult. And there are people struggling. So I am super grateful for where I am, but we've all got to remember there's lots of people struggling now. I mean, like, God, I can't. I mean, if I didn't dig into credit card debt and stuff like that, if I wasn't going to do that, I'd have to move out of London or something like that. And it was pretty depressing. But then it comes back onto my thing that I thought, man, it's all about timing again. Doesn't matter. It's not necessarily that my work performance. Like, they didn't need match move artists anymore, so they kept the core team and the extras. Get rid of them. We don't need them. We can do everything, all the next batch of shows with our core team. So that's where it comes down to timing again. So I'll probably repeat this quite a lot because it's one of the most important parts of keeping and getting in. Because films are not made every single minute of the day. They're either not being made or someone's striking and complaining that they don't get paid enough or rights or whatever. Basically, all those sort of things sort of travel down the food chain and most of the time hurt the people that are most vulnerable. Or saying that I was vulnerable or anything, but it was a real shit position to be in. But understanding that it's timing, I was just like, man, I'm just going to go for any job. And I managed to find a modelling job in like a surveying company, which it was like a small sub company and a bit larger company for a big surveying company, like architectural visualization and stuff like that. And we would basically do stereophotogrammetry where we were building the entire London model. So, and God, not so long ago. I was trying to remember how so it was kind of like stereophotogrammetry. Did have this like super awesome aerial photography, or whatever. I think it was BAE Systems or whatever it is. It's like a military surveying sort of thing, and if they got contracts to have it, so they had super awesome aerial footage from you could see everything. It was like super spy shit. And we'd figure out the depths and positions of height buildings and shapes from the convergence points of a stereo camera. So if you didn't know anything about stereo cameras, basically how it works is it's exactly how your eyes work. So your eyes have two cameras and they both have the convergence point where stuff becomes 3D, which is what your eyes are doing. So what we'd do, we'd find out the convergence point and figure out the altitude of what the plane was at that, and then it would do some other magic stuff. And we'd pinpoint the height of that building within, I think it was like a couple of centimeters or something. Super accurate photogrammetry. Very manual, but it was pretty good work, to be honest. It was modelling, it was nice. So I did that for a while. It was very corporate-y sort of job. That after working at DNEC and seeing how people turn up to work, I saw people turn up in like pajamas, onesies, really not caring about what they wore and just like being super relaxed. Then go into this and be like, do you know have to wear a shirt, tie, and stuff like that? I'm like, yeah, I'm not wearing a shirt and tie. This is like, I'm modeling now. If I'm modeling, I want to be comfortable. So there was that. I think I did that for about 6 or 7 months, which kind of saved me from having to move out of London or becoming like, I don't know, moving home. So whilst doing that, yeah, it was good. It was a good filler sort of thing, and that's one of the things I'd say, like, being open to trying to explain to people that, like, it would be so great in this world to be like, I want to do this and only do that. I think the reality of it now, you kind of have to take the view of becoming like a generalist and specializing sort of thing. Have more than one type of cookie in the cookie jar, if you know what I mean. Don't just be like, I'm a modeler and I don't want to do anything else. Be open to do other things. And I think that's one of the key things that will keep you afloat in VFX, because, I mean, being flexible was, I think, one of my key things that have kept me going since. Because I don't mind what I do. I'll go through, and if anyone asks me to do something, I'll be like, yeah, that's fine, I'll do it. So, where are we at? I can't think it's called like Vertex Modelling or something like that. A small London-based modelling company. So then I actually got an email. I think I applied. I think it went back. I think I actually got an email back from DNX saying if I was available. I mean, I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm available. I was like, control. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'm available. When are I going to start? And they were like, we need to start within like a couple of weeks. So I was like, yeah, it's fine. I handed in my notice to Vertex. I think I actually had to give them like a month's notice, but like I had to start sooner than a month. So it was just like, it was kind of I think it wasn't the finest thing to do, I don't think, but I was kind of like, I really wanted to do it, and I spoke to them about what this was, and they're like, yeah, well, don't worry about your notice if you want to go. And they were actually really kind about the whole situation, and willing to let me go early when the contract started with back with DNEG. So yeah, I pretty much finished on a Friday, then started on the Monday. So yeah, that was it. Straight back into DNEG doing match move stuff. And yeah, it felt good. I'm not gonna lie. It felt absolutely great being back doing it, even though like the industry had kind of shit on me, and that I was willing to go back for more, which is kind of the drug of it, I guess. When you want to do something, you're very quickly to forget the not so great parts just to have the nice parts. But that's just how it is, I guess, with life. And you know what I mean. I'm not particularly a person that holds on to stuff anyway. So hey ho, what's done's done. Let's move on and keep moving forward. So yeah, I'm back at DNEG, match moving, and yeah, and it's all pretty much the same as working on shows. Then I think it was about 12 months, maybe just over a year I was there for. And the contracts were, I gotta stop hitting the mic, it's right in front of me, and just looking at my camera angle on my thing and I can't really see, but I think it should be fine. So yeah, like, it's just over a year and a bit. Contracts were pretty good at the start, getting renewed 6 months, every 6 months. And I started to get to 3 months, and I was like, yeah, it's fine, I'll come back on. And I started to get to 2 months, and I was like, okay, it's getting smaller and smaller. So I get to 1 month, and then I was like, man, it's starting to not, the security in it was starting to feel like it was disappearing, which is kind of what it's like working with contracts and VFX. You have to understand. I mean, like, it sucks. It really sucks. In a perfect world, everyone would just be hired and but like for long contracts, but things don't work that way. I guess it's works. You can only work when work's there. So it's much easier to get over it when you start thinking it that way. So it was getting. I can't even remember what show it was. I think it might have been. I can't remember. It was either Terminator or Godzilla or something. Can't quite remember that. I think that's when my contract was running out and I wasn't finding if I was getting renewed. So I was like, well, I'm just going to apply to Framestore. So I applied to Framestore. And I think it was just a speculative application. I don't think they were advertising. I didn't see any because I did a speculative application for about, I did Framestore, CineSite, MPC, ILM. I can't even remember. There's loads of little boutique ones as well. I can't remember. I think I applied loads of places, speculative applications, and I mean, there must have been like one or two. I can't quite remember, but I know it wasn't like, hey, I would apply for this or such. It was just, and I think a Framestore was the only one that came back like, actually, yeah, we're looking to hire in a month or two. So that was all right. And then kind of coming up to a convergence point of, I'm still at DNEG. I really like working at DNEG, but my contract's coming up to an end and no security. It's feeling a little bit odd. Not really concerning. And it's either to just jump ship and go to Framestore. And it's all, and like I say, it's always coming down to this timing thing. Even though, like, I would say a lot of the companies kind of work, they probably all work on the same shows, if you know what I mean, just different chunks of it. So the timing thing applies across all things, but some of them are offset. They might have different projects. So that's where the whole sort of, you get like this group, you'll always have these people that float around company to company. That's just, and they love it. Going contract to contract, and yeah, I always prefer like long contracts and a bit more job security. It makes me severely anxious about getting paid next month and paying things off, and it makes all my gears on my mind crunch and not really understand. So following something that was more secure for me was probably my primary sort of goal. And then I did jump ship to Framestore. I applied, they came back, went in for an interview. Trying to remember what that interview was like. I think at the time it was the head of Match Move, which is now, he's like a master animator or something like that, but I can't quite remember. What I do remember at Framestore was when I did actually start, I was in like some smelly basement with one toilet, and I was sat like 2 tables behind the toilet, and there was one. And man, if someone did like a shit in there, like everyone would know. So it was like, I'm surprised there was just like no like unwritten rule, please no one do poos. But well, I think it was on Wells Street. I can't quite remember. I know it was the type of office that I actually liked. It was kind of not, it wasn't like grimy or anything. It was definitely an artist sort of space. Kind of like what original DNEG was. Because when I started at DNEG, they were at Shaftesbury Avenue, Mortimer Street, and Soho Square. I think now they're at Portland Street. So before the original DNEG, they were in like, I actually preferred their original offices at DNEG because they were just like, I mean, like, it was, I don't know, it had a bit more used artsy sort of thing. It felt like a bit more, I know it's hard to explain. If you ever see Great Portland Street, it looks hard to explain it. You ever watch that Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone film where they're in break out of jail? Kind of looks like a glass prison sometimes, but it's a nice office. But I prefer the old one, I think. Anyway, at Frame Store, I mean, and they were great. I love Frame Store. I always found they were very good. I can't think how long. Because I worked at Wells Street. I did actually work at Wells Street for about a year. Then they were looking for, because they also had an office in Bournemouth, like a small satellite office. And I was like, maybe let's see what. So I sort of looked into that, and I found out they actually would like a sort of a senior sort of match mover to go down there to sort of help and lead. And I was like, my girlfriend at the time lived way further down there, so I was like, I just took the punt. You know what I mean? I just took the gamble. I was like, yeah, I'll quite happy to go down to Bournemouth. No idea. It was on a university campus, the arts university. So yeah, then I moved down to Bournemouth and started working at Frame Store Bournemouth, which was actually quite nice. It was kind of one of the rare things where you could actually work sort of a London job and not be in London, if you know what I mean. Although there was like basically, I think the premise was behind it, they would have uni students come in and work for cheap, and you know what I mean, how it goes. Cheap labour is good labour in a lot of VFX world. So, but yeah, it was a great opportunity for university students as well. So whilst working at Frame Store in Bournemouth, because we were on the Arts University campus, they did actually have, well, they started off having a visual effects course. It was like kind of brand new, so they didn't really have anything, but they needed someone to come along and actually do some match move training when they can. So I'd never actually done any training or teaching before, so I wasn't really on my radar, but I thought, hey, I'll give it a go, try it out. And I did a couple of sessions with them, and I actually quite enjoyed it. Quite enjoyed the sort of teaching side of things. It was only in doing the match move, going through, preparing them for their visual effects shots, and basically just general match move and layout stuff. And that kind of progressed into a lot of things that kind of lit the fuse for me. Like actually, I kind of enjoyed doing the teaching sort of side of things. So I was doing more and more with the universities, training and teaching, and sort of branching out to other universities as well, just for like while I'm working at Frame Store and doing visiting lecture stuff. So you'd go in like maybe one day sometime during the semester and do a training tutorial in match move or something, and that was quite enjoyable. So that kind of also sparked the idea of doing a YouTube training channel, because going to university now and before, I don't know what it's like in other countries. I know in America it's like super expensive. It's like, man, you're in debt for like a lifetime apparently. But even in UK now, it's like, I think it's like 9-10 grand a year, and it's a big debt. And I think it's like, that's just the lower end of it as well. It's like at a minimum, it's 9-10 grand a year. So I imagine it's more in some places. So that kind of spiked. So that kind of gave me the idea of doing a YouTube channel where we do some training for free. So everyone has the opportunity to learn. You're not like you're not stuck behind a pay barrier, which is kind of. I don't think you should have to pay to improve yourself through education. And sometimes you have like the smartest people, but they just don't have the money to do it. So, I mean, it's only visual effects. We're not like saving lives here. So, but it was kind of nice to give something so everyone had the opportunity to learn and didn't have to pay a fortune for university courses. And yeah, like I know some people that I've worked with and have gone far in visual effects in some of the big companies. Never had a university course. They just learn from the YouTube university and online and stuff like that. And it's genuinely what you can put together and what you can create. So I don't want to go too much on that because it's not really about that, not about this channel, but it's just where it all sort of sparked the idea for the YouTube channel whilst I was doing the training for Arts University and Bournemouth University. So we'll carry on with where I was at. I think I worked there for my time framing on this is going to be so wrong. I probably should have wrote a list of what years. I think it's 3 or 4 years. I think maybe at Framestore doing match move. I think it was something like that. Yeah. I'll have to actually write down a timetable or look at my LinkedIn. I probably should have done that first, but I'm going to generalize the time. I knew it was a long time, and it was nice because they did good contracts at Framestore. And I was working there, and it was all great, fantastic. But then people were starting to filter out of the office. Less people wanted to actually be in Bournemouth. I think a lot of them moved up to the goal for everyone that was a student and then went to the Bournemouth Framestore. Their goal was to work there, then go to London. So everyone there was a higher value of people wanting to move out of Bournemouth, go to London. Well, I think there was 3 people actually that came from London to help there. You had a senior supervisor comp and a senior paint and rotor guy and me doing match move. And we were the 3 people that came down from London to work there. And I think it just eventually everyone went back up there, apart from 2 of us. It was the supervisor comp. And yeah, it must have been, let me check on my LinkedIn. Oh, it was 2.5 years. Way overestimated the time at Framestore. But yeah, 2.5 years. And yeah, then after that, everyone started filtering out. Then I went to Outpost VFX. Well, I applied for Outpost VFX because they wanted a match move supervisor and layout supervisor. And they were very small at the time when I started. I think when I started, there was no more than 40 people. Maybe no more than 30. Barely anyone. You could fit in this. You could get everyone in the house. In fact, they were actually working in a house. The beginnings of Outpost was actually pretty amazing because they did start in a little cottage. And there was I don't know, 5 of them. And they managed to make it out to this massive company now. Even now, it's actually quite impressive. But yeah, then that was it. I pretty much went there. And I interviewed. I can't remember what the interview was like. I think the more you do interviews in the VFX world, the more informal they get, and it's more of a sort of catch-up chat and talking about things, goals, and experience, which makes things a lot easier. It's kind of more of an interview I like. And then yeah, so then I'm now working at Outpost, and then match move supervisor and layout. And I was the only one there doing it. So every show that needed it, I was doing all of it. So it's quite a lot. I think, and I worked at Outpost for just over 4 years. But in the time at Outpost, I did transition into a generalist role. Even though, Outpost was the place where I actually started to move into areas that I wanted to do. I'm not saying that I didn't want to do match move. Match move for me was kind of always a stepping stone, keep employed situation. I can do it. I'll do it to keep paid. And it doesn't bother me at all. So, but there are things that I would like to do that's everyone wants to do the thing that they really enjoy. So I had those. And I wanted to go to sort of more generalist modeling, sort of building environment sort of stuff. So I did that. I think it was about 2 years in, maybe Outpost, and transitioned over to a generalist. Although I still kept my match move supervisor and layout supervisor role, so I was still doing all the match move souping and layout souping, but they had a small team doing it, so I was still not managing them, but just everything that did went through me and I checked it. Wasn't necessarily doing the full-on every single shot. And I was starting to do more of the generalist stuff, which was great, doing environments. Which also meant that I also actually went out to set quite a lot as well. Doing a lot of the on-set data wrangling and basically being not like a on-set soup. I think on some of the shows it's just like going out there and it just having a generalist out there collecting some of the data behind the scenes is ideal for a small company. Basically a ghost wrangler, which I'd like to call it. Ghost wrangler is probably the best name for it, because when you do go on set, you just VFX people are just like, everyone thinks you're in the way, like get your balls out of my face and stuff like that, and yeah, the ball jokes never end. So it is what it is, but it was fun. There was a lot of going from the big companies to then going to a much smaller company. I was doing so much more. I was doing a lot way out of my job title, which was actually great because I was learning way more. And I think that's probably one of the biggest benefits of going from working or starting at a smaller company. You just learn so much, and sometimes it can be too much as well. So don't get me wrong. There could be times where you're just doing a lot. I mean, I worked at Outpost for 4 years, and it was great. Got COVID hit, and all the sort of remote work started happening. People started to work from home, and all that absolute chaos and show stopping. Honestly, like the last 5 years have been pretty. 5 years? Last 3 or 4 years have been pretty bad for VFX. COVID was absolute awful for VFX because people stopped filming, couldn't do it. There was only a few shows doing it, so not filming, no work coming in. They don't hire VFX artists to do stuff. And the whole remote thing started kicking off, and it was great. Everyone could work from home, and things started to work around. So yeah, there was that. And then things got a little bit tighter, I guess. Things work-wise, the drought was coming from work, and they were getting less work because people just weren't. It wasn't the fact that they couldn't get it. It was just that there wasn't any. Unless they had a really big project already in the works with everything filmed and done, that's the only way you could have really survived. I think that's what Outpost had. They had quite a big project already under their feet, with everything already filmed and delivered, and they had the time frame that went for quite a long time, so that was quite lucky. And yeah, I think it got to 4 years. Then so yeah, I did another speculative application, and I thought I was 100% all in at Outpost. I was just like, I really like it here. It's great. It's not in the city. I get to live in a place where I can sort of afford a house and stuff like that, and have a car, and not have to deal with hectic city life. So I was all in on that. I loved working there. It was fantastic. It was everything I wanted. All I wanted to do was do more for them. I kind of wasn't getting that in return in some sort of sense. So you can try, but sometimes it's just, well, it's a hard one because I really wanted to. I went to, I think when I was saying Outpost, I was like, yeah, I actually really like it. I want to help grow and be with it and stick with it. But yeah, I think the problem is with smaller companies, they can get bedazzled by people that have come from big companies, and they kind of, I never want to say that someone took things that I would have liked to have had. You put 4 years into something and you work your ass off. You would hope that maybe you'd get some recognition and a little bit of cheddar in your sandwich, but it wasn't kind of happening. So I was kind of I think a lot of people also maybe was getting that, and they were kind of just on autopilot and sticking it around, and if something bad came, something bad came. I think I just did a speculative application as well to ILM. I was like, hey, I think I applied for the layout position, and I was just like, why not? They actually had it on. No, there wasn't a speculative one. They had it on their website, so I just looked on it, and they're like, hey, layout. And I was like, I mean, like, it's just a layout position. I was, from me, because I was a generalist, probably like a mid-generalist at that, maybe, for a small company, because I was doing quite a lot. I think I did apply for, modeling, actually. It was either, I think it was modeling. I applied for modeling, generalist, and layout. I was like, man, who knows? Let's try it. Let's give it a shot. And I can't remember the sequence of events, but actually, they actually got back to me, and I was just like, what? I was like, I was like, I was not expecting any reply. I was just like, there's going to be like thousands of people applying for this, and I'm like, I'm not going to get it. They got back to me, and I was like, it must have just been. I'd put that down to timing as well, because they always come back like, we got like a massive project coming in, and we need more people, even though. And I was very two minds about it, even though like, found like working at ILM is like a dream job. It's like I love working in it. It's the greatest thing for me. I can't really explain it, but for also coming from sort of supervisor, match move layout supervisor, I know to like some people that's just like, oh, it's not really anything, but actually like there's actually a ton of stuff which like match move and layout have to do, and it's like it's a lot of behind door stuff as well, which is like people don't even know what happens and goes on, but they do a lot of stuff. And going from sort of match move supervisor layouts and mainly a generalist sort of role, to then just back to a layout, doing the work, and being like, oh man, this is like taking a step back. But then I'm also going to be like working in a company that I really like. So I was just like, I just took it and took the punt, applied, and they came back. I was like, it actually took me a while to absorb it, because I wasn't sure whether if I was going to take it or not. But because of the whole situation with COVID, job uncertainty, and stuff like that, if you had a job in COVID, it kind of felt like, man, you don't want to leave that. You want to keep it and hold on to it. So it felt risky, but I feel like the risk was worth it for, like, it's ILM, it's Lucasfilm, Disney. It's great. Some people dream to work there. Some people are not bothered about where they work. They just want to do the work. Like for me, it's hard to explain. It's always been on. It's not been on my mind, but like at the back of a lot of people's minds, it's just like the dream sort of thing. So I went for it, basically. Went for the layout, and I think I took like 2 weeks off, just because COVID and Outposts. At that time, it was quite low on ice, but actually quite a lot of work. I think I can't remember, but it was quite brutal at the time. But then yeah, I think I took 2 weeks off and then went to ILM, and like it felt like a bad idea, because I was giving up a full-time contract, like full-time full-time position, not contracted, just pretty much exactly what we want for VFX, and they're quite difficult to get sometimes to trade up for to go back to contract work. So it's like, man, it feels like I'm giving up security over contract work. But then I just went for it and thought, and I gotta go for it. It's one of those things that, like, if you don't, you'll just regret it for sure. So I went for it. And yeah, I was doing layout at ILM now. I was about 2.5 years actually. Because then I transitioned, because I was like, right, I gotta try and get back into a sort of generalist, sort of non-layout role. So I was like, I started and I was always trying to move on into a different department. But big companies, when you're in a department, it's really difficult to move department. It's like you have to have mega patience. I'm not talking about patience of a saint. Patient as patience of a saint being nothing. I'm trying to get to another department in VFX. You have to have like ultra mega patience and stick with it, because I mean, like, it's all down to timing as well. Because I mean, they can only give you a job if there is a place to do it. And when you're already in a job at the company and they need you there and you're doing well at it, they want you to stay doing that because you're productive. So you've got to fight the urge to not. It's like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's like you've got to fight the urge to quit, basically. You've got to stick it to the end. If this is like your end game, you got to fight it till you're bleeding out your orifices. And that's kind of what I did. I just stuck with it. So I think, well, after about 2.5 years, I then finally moved into environments, like a generalist environment, which was nice. It finally felt, well, it was getting to a place where I wanted a company that I really liked. And I think getting really close to the end. I don't really know what else to say. I've been working at ILM for like just over 4 years. I love it. It's a dream job. I'm working in a generalist environments. So yeah, there's not a huge amount of things I can say now because it's my current work. And I just hope it gives you a bit of an insight of who this guy is that's doing all these really boring long tutorials. And yeah, slowly trying to think of things to say. I just hope it's a bit insightful for you. I don't know whether if it's any use. It'll be interesting to see the outcome of this video. I'm actually really, really terrified on what this might happen. Well, I'm actually really terrified on how this will go, to be honest, because I hate talking about myself, and this is giving me severe anxiety, and it's going to take me years to edit this to a point where it's not an awkward idiot talking about stuff. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say. So, I mean, like, if you got any questions or anything that you might want to know, just drop it in the comments. Yeah, I'll always try and get back to them whenever I can. And so yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help. Like, I am really appreciative for all you guys that have liked and subscribed, and man, the 300 people that watch my videos, thank you. I wish I'd get more views, but you know what it's like. It's tough. It's a tough world in the YouTube world, especially when you're like awkward like me and not particularly well versed in talking to a camera. But look at our watch time from our subscribers. We really need to sort of level this out. It's let me have a look. It's like we've got like 70% unsubscribed. It would be really nice, man, if you just click that little subscribe button. I'm not going to beg. I'm just going to ask nicely. I could try something like this.
Let the double hypnosis commence. We command that you subscribe to this channel and like the videos.
I think it's worked.